before I leave my house tomorrow morning, then I can print that, or if you have it with you, then give it to me, and I'll try to find somebody who can read it, or I'll just hand it in as written testimony.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Or if you can drop by the Capitol tomorrow, that's great.
Rachel, if we're there and we have to leave, I'm just not calling to work tomorrow. So if we're there a little while and they have a call, they said, can I do a written one then, or should I go ahead and do one now and to have both, or?
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Full time, and then I have this kind of coordinate volunteers. But I'm going to do my testimony tonight. I'm planning to write up something to hand in, as well as so. If you're, you can do both, or if you want to just have a written version, and if you suddenly have to run, you can just hand the clerk and send like this is written testimony. That works. And then what they'll do is they'll just change you the record from being that you testified.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
And can it be handwritten, or, okay.
Written testimony after we drop it off, do they actually read it, or does it just go into a bin under for, against, or on?
They don't, what I would recommend is you give them 9 copies, because there are 9 members. That way they will, so each of them will get it sitting in front of them.
This is a demonstration.
If you submit only written testimony, it doesn't get read on record. It just gets taken, or, set in front of the senators.
And I guess there's some place at the Capitol.
We haven't. It goes away.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll stop by there before I drive away.
Library's at a nickel a page right now.
Can coach us on how to write.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Awesome.
How many of you guys are actually planning to testify tomorrow? Either written or verbal? Okay. You'll already have some kind of a draft, or at least a basic idea of what you want to say.
Is a demonstration of Wirecast.
The name, address, and saying I have it done. I'm a little interested in this, surveillance network we live in.
I hear you. In fact, when I first started Firearms Freedom, I did it anonymously because I wasn't sure I wanted my name out there as a gun rights activist. And I was really new to activism and new to being in favor of gun rights too. So I was still trying to figure it out anonymously. That all stopped the first time I went to
This is a
testify on the bill.
demonstration of Wirecast.
Public record. Anybody who Googles, witness list for this particular, see your name. Not just your name. So at that point, I was like, well, to me, it's to have the chance to testify, like the or whatever. To me, it's worth it because I want to make my voice heard. That's just the price I pay. But I mean, it's your decision. I'd rather let them do what they want legislatively.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Not get my name anywhere. But I'm not trying to make fun of that. That's your decision. I'm here because I decided I made the other choice. And now my name and videos are out there. So whatever. Yes.
Does anybody know if they're going to have a 30-06 sign out in front of the meeting room? Because I hate to show up with my gun and not be able to get in.
If you have a CHL, then you'll go through the CHL, instead of going to the metal detector.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Are they going to present the 30-06 sign?
No, the meeting room is part of the Capitol. So you go through security to the Capitol. Anything that's legal outside the Capitol is off.
Okay.
So,
Except for over here.
you mean well, they don't even allow that outside the ground.
Now it's not like on the grounds between the fence and the cap.
Yeah, like basically, okay, so people always ask, well, what about knife? Okay, this knife is perfectly legal to carry in Texas. Even if I didn't have a CHL, if I had to go through the metal detector,
This is
still
a
like,
demonstration of
they'll fine
Wirecast.
with that because it's not an illegal knife to carry.
Depends on what part fixes, right?
There's not a state
Yeah.
law.
San Antonio's in Texas.
We are,
No, it's
yeah, there's no,
It's a private
it's
ordinance.
different. There's
Like
not a
Los
state
Angeles.
law.
I'm gonna
Y'all
work
know
on
that
that
there's
too.
a bill for preemption? for
Yes,
knife laws?
good.
So, yeah, we're working on that. It almost passed last time.
On the other hand, what we were talking about earlier, if, if your name is not out there, if they don't know
This
who you
is
are.
a demonstration of Wirecast.
You're crazy.
On some level.
And if you own a credit card and you buy the credit card, they know who you are.
Yeah, I mean, these days I figure it's easy enough for people to figure out who somebody is.
Yeah.
What website you visit, friends, my face is on publication, okay? Face out there. My face.
My face is all over the United States
This
as
is
far
a
as gun movement. I
demonstration
can't
of
get away.
Wirecast.
Yeah.
When we first started Cold Dead Hands, everybody knows how crazy the anti-gun people are. So, we started out,
I thought it was the guys who were crazy.
that's what they'd like you to think. But, we started out writing names and stuff like that. And at some point, you can only do so much anonymously. Until people can put
This
a
is a
face to it,
demonstration of
you
Wirecast.
need a face in order to build a trust, So, Patrick and I got from behind the pseudonyms and became the face of Cold Dead Hands.
Good. I'm too old to be afraid of what they can do to me.
Corporation who worked for one of the big computer industries that actually contracted the government. And his bosses came to
This
him and
is a
said, I want you to
demonstration
hold up
of
your shares,
Wirecast.
but you have to eliminate ties because they are outlaws. Period. And he could not work for us because of the government contracts. So, we're doing something right.
If they're watching us, that's not on me. They can tap my phones all they want to.
We're talking on the phone, we'll give them a shout out every now and then, say hello.
So I'm our local one, I say that's. Make sure they're getting paid for their job.
This is a demonstration of
I want to make
Wirecast.
one comment about the type of activism that we do with Lone Star Gun Rights. I don't want to speak on behalf of Justin. I want to say something about activism. As far as I can see, in this movement, there have been two kind of activists, and the news has brought it all out. There's the Corey Watkins type, and then there's the Justin DeWashington. You have a guy with common sense and intelligence that can speak like represent the State House without them wanting to
This is
push
a
a panic button.
demonstration of
okay?
Wirecast.
We really don't want people going up there tomorrow using the tyrant word, using negative words to these people, because that's only going to push back our movement, and they're going to look at each other and say, see what idiot? But if we use our intelligence and we use respect and we use common sense, we can get a message across in an intelligent way that maybe make them think. If you can make another person think and make them go, well, wait a minute now, he has a point
This
here.
is a demonstration of
Then
Wirecast.
you have a mental foot in the door, not a physical foot in the door. See
Yeah.
what I'm saying? There's two different ways to do things, and I really hope everybody here and everybody that's coming tomorrow will use common sense and put together the right words. Do whatever you have to. Do some prayer on it. Do whatever you believe in to get yourself together enough to get across your message in an intelligent and respectful way. Wasting your time, you're wasting our
This
and you're going
is
to,
a demonstration of Wirecast.
I can't speak for Corey Watkins, but that guy's an idiot, okay? In my estimation of my 68 years on this planet, I've seen lots of guys like him. I was in the anti-war movement in the 60s. I saw people get their head bashed in because they poked the bear. And the bear don't like to get poked, and I'm not calling these State House a bear. But they got the bear on their side, and they're working with the beast, okay? You poke the beast is going to hurt you. okay? If you
This
give the
is a
bees a little bit of
demonstration
respect
of
and then say,
Wirecast.
okay, but here's our constitutional rights and here's what we're trying to do, they're gonna go, okay, well, this man or this woman's intelligent, they know what they're talking about, we're gonna let them have their say, and we're gonna consider it. Then you've got something, you can walk out of that room feeling good about what you did, good about what you said, and that's all I have to say.
Yep.
Just from an old guy that's been around the block.
Before we go live and everything, before we get into it, I just want to say one point about that before moving on. There's been a lot of talk about
This
poison
is a
abuse
demonstration of
and
Wirecast.
there are a lot of us who disagree with tactics, obviously with things said, and you would probably agree with that for some levels too. I want y'all to know that Corey has showed up at convention. He was there all week. He was testifying. He's one of the ones who actually helped us to pass the resolution for prioritizing gun legislation, which is a huge reason why constitutional carry was actually filed this year. So even the people who say, oh, we don't want to
This
be like
is a
that,
demonstration.
this they're doing when a lot of us sat back and did nothing, either because we're kind of on the fence about activism, or because we just literally couldn't get down there. Yeah.
Another thing I'd like to point out is everyone that represents their area supports constitutional carry.
Yes.
Because of the work there, all their representatives are supporting this. Now we're having to beat on our representatives to finally get support, and they already have it. So
let's not be bashful.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
We don't have to go out and do something, but let's progress forward. Let's move it forward towards that goal, because we got this. We really do. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Hey guys, come in. Grab some food. We haven't started yet. We're gonna start training in 10 minutes.
You're late.
Grab some food. Until everybody's testified. It really depends on how many
This is
people.
We have no idea how many people are gonna show up. There's about 20 people here, so, a lot more are gonna come obviously.
Well, the last time we had last time I was a hearing on anything similar to this was they were not in session, and it was an unofficial hearing. It was basically, yeah, come tell us what you think. We'll listen to you. Yeah, and Craig Estes led the meeting. And at one point, 500 people in the room or outside the room, and it went all day long. The official hearing. So I've got to imagine it's going to be somewhere at least 1 to 2x of that. And I'm basing that on some of the legislation that I've seen in the past. I would expect there to be at a minimum 500 people. What is tomorrow? Thursday? Yeah, it'll be at least 500 people. So it's going to be a packed house.
Last time I was here, I think there were 50 to 60 people tested.
Right.
In addition to this, so do you think that testimony person?
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Ask questions and stay longer. There's a little bit of time between. So calculate that times how many people.
Do not let that deter you from showing up, though, because the people that show up and people that are there when they call your name, you're going to get hurt, and it makes a huge difference. It really does.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
We're going to start the trading part in like 5 minutes. Just grab some food if you'd like.
Normally I'm in handcuff.
So Rachel, do you have any idea how many groups will be represented tomorrow?
Like as far as gun groups? I feel like almost all the gun groups that I'm aware of
This
that I've
is a demonstration of Wirecast.
send at least a representative, if not have a lot of people show up. And the groups are kind of there's a lot of overlap. We'll associate with multiple groups. So there's that too.
How's Trip gonna be in?
I'm sure she will. Yeah. They tend to not. They tend to kind of direct people to testify. They want only their professional lobbyists, so we tend to have like all the numbers of people showing up.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
There were 7 or 10 of us, something like that. I'm gonna grab some water and then we're gonna start in a minute or two. I did grab it from you. Hey, come on in, glad you guys made it. If you guys know of anybody who wants to be watching this, if you have.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
And there's, like, if the last post is a link to the live stream, just hit share that, tag anybody you want, you think should watch, share with them.
Say, Rachel, there's a, because I had to redo it.
There's a new link.
Yeah, it's live right now, by the way. Make sure that everything's.
Where's that link posted? Is it posted anywhere?
Yeah, let me send to you on Facebook real quick.
Yeah.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Well, also as a comment to my last post.
There you go.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Is it on your page?
One kid punched the locker, one kid punched the wall.
Oh,
There's a stair.
Yeah.
It's just a shear fracture now. We did this in the last week.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
It's absolutely gorgeous today.
That's what I said. You get 2 years, it'll be white. Watch out for the sun.
Very nice.
Wirecast. This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Okay, guys, let's go ahead and get started. It's 7:30. I'll just give you an overview of what I plan to do here. We're actually live streaming, like I mentioned, so if you'd like, on my Facebook page. After a while,
This is a
after we finish
demonstration
our
of
public session, we're gonna
Wirecast.
stop the live stream, we'll just do some practice just as a group. So that'll be more private. Right now, you're welcome to record this. First off, thank you. Michael Cargill, he is the last Yeah, so this is, he let us use it tonight. This place works. This is also the place where we come and we'll start handwriting.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
So this is pretty. Appreciate it. So thanks very much. Items, you probably found the food and water back there. Help have my coffee and get up and you can just stand and stretch while you're in the back. It doesn't bother me. You can walk around, whatever. Do whatever you need to. There are restrooms out that door. If you have any questions while I'm talking, put them down. I may answer later, and but
This
if I
is a
don't,
demonstration of Wirecast.
So just jot those down and periodically I'll ask you. Just want to start with some introductions. My name is Rachel Malone. I run Texas Firearms Freedom, but I work with a bunch of other gun groups. I work with anybody. If we have any overlap in mission, I'll work with them on that. And I'm so happy that y'all are here today. We'll have different groups that are today. The point is we're all kind of working on the same thing. So that's cool. I just want to do a super quick intro.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Where you're from, and I want to know when you decided to come and testify. Not like for this hearing, but for me, Rachel Malone, I decided 4 years ago that I was going to come and testify. Okay, we'll start over here. We'll work our way down here.
John Britton from Fort Worth, and this is the first time I've actually thought about testifying, but I've been involved in advocating for gun rights for
This is a
probably 3 years
demonstration of
now.
Wirecast.
And
That's about 3 for us. I'll forgive you. Larry?
I'll talk about this. Thank you.
Larry?
I also live in Fort Worth. Since the last legislative session, I don't know, we've been talking about doing it for, whatever it comes up, we'll be there.
Yes, and she's been here before, for sure.
Yeah, I'm John Dean. I'm a orthopedic surgeon from San Antonio. This is my first time for testifying. I kind of got
This
the
is a
gun rights thing
demonstration
about
of
a year ago.
Wirecast.
I actually talked at Gun Rights Policy Conference about gun-free zones this past year, but it was in Chicago.
I'm Christine Williams. I'm with my husband here from Mansfield, Texas. So I decided to make sure that
I'm David Williams. We own Skyraider Arms in Mansfield. And after the changes that happened last legislative session to the CHL, I decided it was time for me to get my voice heard. So that's when I decided.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Jordan Malone, here in Austin. I've been helping Rachel with gun rights for a while, but I decided I was going to testify tomorrow. She told me yesterday I was.
I'm Ryan Jones. I live in Austin now. I'm from New York originally. I decided that I was going to get into the gun rights movement and do what I could to get our
This
rights.
is a demonstration
Today I moved to
Wirecast.
Texas and out in New York.
We are live streaming, so if you don't want to give your full name, that's cool, but if you're going to get testified tomorrow, it's going to be there anyway, just a flag.
I'm Jerome Williams. I don't work with Justin and Lone Star Gun Rights about 1.5 years ago, and I decided I wanted to testify, and I've testified before
This
on
is a
other committees,
demonstration
and
of
it was
Wirecast.
the tobacco, what is it, tobacco sales, firearms, whatever, and that was okay, and I feel like doing it this time, because we really need to have this constitutional carry. I believe in it, and I believe in, in the Constitution. Any way we can keep our Constitution together, we have to do what we can.
Cool. Okay, so we're pretty much out of time for introduction. Limited to your name and where you're from, so fewer words get you more brownie points.
Tom,
This
originally
is a
from Canada,
demonstration
just
of
moved to San Antonio.
Wirecast.
Decided to get involved after I left Canada.
Great. Yep.
Charles, Cedar Park.
Excellent.
Abigail.
Regina Perkins, Kyle, Texas.
Great.
Mary Jane Brooke.
Let's come back up this side of the table and move back.
William Brown from Austin.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Austin, Charlie from Austin.
Cool. And then Justin, can we hear you?
Justin DeLoche, live in Cedar Park.
Bart from Austin. Tony, I'm from Johnson City, Texas.
Kristen, I'm from Round Rock.
Kyle, I'm from Round Rock.
Joe, Jenny, Max, Kyle.
Excellent. Thank you all so much for coming. Really, really appreciate that. So, let me see where we're going to jump in.
This is a
Think about why you're
demonstration.
here. I think the reason you're here, obviously, we want to work for me personally. I'm here because I want constitutional hearing. I'll just be real straight up with you. The whole purpose of everything I've ever done with Texas Firearms Freedom has been because I want constitutional carry and I think it's the right thing. So everything I do is centered around that. I'm here because I think this is vital in my push for constitutional carry. However, even if you don't agree with me on that goal, you can still learn the process, because really what I'm about is teaching you the process for getting your goal accomplished. And if you have a different goal, you can use my process to meet your goals, and that's cool with me, because we all have the right to try to reach our own goals. So how do we get constitutional carry? Because like, that's my goal, that's what I want. It's going to be through a bill that has to go to the we need to know that process. How does the legislature work? A bill has to be introduced before it's even introduced. There's a ton of stuff that happens as far as grassroots work, getting people selected who will even introduce these bills. That's been going on here in Texas for many years. There are people sitting in this room who have been working on that. That's
This
the
is a demonstration of Wirecast.
It's where we are now. We've got bills filed. Bills have to go through the legislature, through committee, to the floor on both the Senate and the House, and then pass both bodies, and there are multiple occasions for them to die, then they have to get signed by the governor. That's how a bill happens. So that's kind of the whole big entire process. And Joe?
Yes.
Joe is going to give us a quick presentation on legislative
Oh,
process.
you beat me, I'm sorry. Okay, so I've got a bunch of handouts here. Would you mind helping me get?
Is a
Yeah,
demonstration of Wirecast.
Thank you.
Not to fill that.
Yeah, there's a couple of passwords down there. Thank you for the introduction. My name is Joe Browning. I'm with Hayes Constitutional Republicans. We're a small little group down in Kyle, Texas, growing fast, and we believe in constitutional rights. I am going to very quickly give me a few minutes to give you the how a bill is made dance. So you guys ready? I'm going to do it. No, I'm not. But what's being passed around right now
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
handy little thing that was put together by Texas Electric Cooperatives, and I'm going to blow through this. And I know a lot of you guys know this stuff better than I do. I'm just a messenger. If you got any questions, if you've got any corrections, please raise your hand, because this is unlike our Constitution, this actually changes, and we've had some changes here recently. So, everybody that want a copy, have a copy? You guys cool? Okay. Is that showing up there? It's illegible. Okay, so everybody's going to have to look at this. So, how is a law turn into a law in the state of Texas? And you let me know if I'm running along, okay?
3, 4, 5 minutes.
First of all, a bill can be introduced by anybody in Texas. A state legislator is the most likely person to do it. It can also be brought about by you. You can bring a bill down there if you want to. An organization, there's been several organizations that do it, but generally speaking, it's the legislature.
Is a
They're also
demonstration
by an interim committee. We'll talk a little bit more about interim committees in a second. 60 days prior to session, legislation may be introduced. That means that the bill can be brought. The Secretary of State stamps it, brings it in, and it's filed in front of the committee in its first reading and referral to committee. So I'm not going to read all this. I'm going to go through some of the critical points. First, given a committee chair, the committee chair looks at it. The chair can refuse to schedule a bill for a committee hearing. That's the first step in making sausage in Texas. If anybody's never heard of making sausage in the state of Texas, the bills in Texas are designed to die. It's a little bit more complicated, a little bit more convoluted than most processes, and most other states are not quite as difficult. The system in Texas is designed to make it extremely difficult for laws to get passed, and that's a good thing. Our founding fathers in Texas had it in their infinite wisdom to say, hey, we don't want professional lawmakers down here every single day of the year making new laws. So they made it very difficult, so only the best, only the most actually make it. And in this process, I don't know if you see all these red hands, any one of those points can stop a bill right in its many opportunities for things to die. It goes to a committee chair, and the committee chair can refuse to schedule a bill for the committee hearing. A bill analysis is done. That is, part of that is the fiscal impact statement, and we have no idea where they get their fiscal impact. It is a complete mystery, and that's just the reality of the situation. They do put notes about as good as a fifth grader. There's no telling what's in it, and that's usually a first good indicator of what they're going to say about a bill. if it looks like it's got this expense, and we know people that it doesn't have a monstrosity expense, that's generally a good indicator that they don't like the legislation. Conversely, if they say this has no expense, and we know for a fact that it's going to be 14 new school districts and a new hospital district and everything else, you have a pretty good idea of what's going on behind the curtain. There's a bill analysis, public hearings.
Demonstration of Wirecast.
We're here to talk about today. It doesn't matter if you're pro, against, or whatever. Each of these things is this is just neutral. I'm gonna let the opinions stay to you guys. There's debate and amendments. This is all happening in the committee, and at any point after the committee report is put together, the majority of committee membership is required for it to go to the next step. This is our opportunity today to talk to these folks, to tell them we want something or we don't want something. It's then sent to calendars committee. Who's heard of calendars committee before? Okay, it's the most powerful committee in the entire legislative process. All the cars, because they can just put it at the end or never schedule it. So that's what goes on in calendars committee. Again, Joe Strauss is the one that sets up these committees. They're the ones that get to determine where it goes. I don't have an opinion about Joe Strauss I'd like to share publicly, but suffice it to say that there's a lot of clout in this one step right here. Again, the bill, there has to be a majority vote. There needs to be a majority vote needed to send it to the House floor. Then the song and dance of the House floor begins, and pretty much everything those guys are saying at that point is pretty scripted. Everything that happens on the House floor is usually a negotiation. It's you support my bill, I won't support this bill, and it's song and dance, it's cake and circus when it's actually on the House floor. The decisions have been made up to this point. They've decided most of the decision making here between the committee chair, the bill analysis, and the public hearings. It goes to the House floor. It's read a second time. They debate and amend it. Again, the it's like anything else. It's like negotiating. For those that you know how they negotiate, they'd say, well, how about instead of $100 for license, we charge $150, and instead of doing this, we do that, and so on and so forth. There's a third reading if it has a tie failure to gain a simple majority, either after it's debated or before the third reading. It goes to a vote, and either one of those votes can kill the bill. If it passes, the bill is sent to the Senate. The approval and the amendments printed and sent to the Senate for consideration. I said this right, but it's a mirror image, Senate or House. It has to happen the exact same way. So these are mirror images of one another. A small exception. I'll talk about that. It goes to a first reading, and again, it's referred to a committee. So after it's gone through and passed through the House, and it's back to committee. The committee does all kinds of work. They do what's called tagging. I'm not going to get into what tagging is. A senator may call for a written notice of a hearing 48 hours in advance just to slow down or defeat a bill. And that's actually happened towards the end of sessions before, where they'll call for a hearing that it dies right there in this. It does happen. Public hearings, again, these public hearings are also very important. This is not what we're doing. This is not what we're doing tomorrow. This is what we're doing up here at public hearings. Made and amended. It has a committee report. That same committee report basically goes back and verifies the report up here is true and accurate. Very rarely is there any sort of inconsistency, which I think I agree that yes, that is the case. And again, the majority of those on the committee have to vote to then send it on to the House floor. It's placed on a regular order of business. So the bill is then the bill that started over here. It somehow made it through all these stop signs here on the regular. There's actually a new rule. It used to be a 2/3 vote. Now I think they changed it to 3/5. I believe is all they have to have. I'm not sure exactly the number. It's 3/5 now, right? Yeah, thank you guys for all the feedback too. That actually just changed this session. Second reading, it's debated and amended, and this is what everybody knows what filibuster is, of course. I mean, Wendy Davis's famous filibuster. That can happen, and it does slow down bills, and they're usually used whenever it's used to tactically slow it down for some reason. That's why they'll have filibuster. It's voted in, and the tie vote or failure to gain a simple majority stops it. There's a third reading, and then it's voted on yet again. This is when it gets interesting. And I know that this is a mess, but do you think that if the Senate has already approved it and the bill is likable, that they could just go on to be signed into law? But it doesn't. Then the Senate amended House bill then to the House for approval. The House can then either approve the bill as it sits with the amendment, say, bill, this is not what we had in mind here at all. So if they approve it, then it gets sent back to the Senate where it goes to enrollment. And once it's basically going to become law at that point. However, if the House says it goes to a conference committee, that conference committee debates it, and if they don't agree there, again, the bill dies. If they don't agree or they can't come up to some resolution. If they do agree, it goes back to enrollment. It's signed at that point in the presence of the House. Then it is a law. And the law goes to Greg Abbott's desk. Greg Abbott can decide to veto it. It can be overruled. The veto can be overruled by a 2/3 vote. He can sign it, or he can just ignore it. It becomes law, I think 60 days after it's 90 days. So that is a mouthful, but you can see how extremely difficult it is to get laws passed in the state of Texas. Any questions?
Demonstration of Wirecast.
Go ahead.
On that long pass,
Yes, sir.
how many spots do the people actually get to weigh in on?
Let me go ahead, let me put this question again. Okay, so what we're here for, and we can get to questions later on about legislative process. The point of this, I just wanted you to understand the whole backdrop. Where this fits in is that one chance of public testimony while a sitting committee hearing for the Senate. So thanks for doing that. And if you didn't have that all memorized by now,
Demonstration
here's
of
what you need to know. There are a
Wirecast.
lot of chances to die, and we need a lot at certain critical points to push it through. This is one of those when lots of people coming helps tremendously. So that is why I am.
I'll throw one comment. Because you're all here, and because I saw a lot of it in the last couple of days, that is constitutional carry dead talk. Almost every one of those stop signs is based on the practice that's developed over the history of Texas. They're not reality. Most of them are myths. I'm not saying they don't happen every session. I'm not saying they don't happen every day. But I'm saying if we actually want to take our government in this state back, part of what we have been working on the last few years and will keep working on is educating people on those and tearing them down. So whatever happens tomorrow, however you walk out of it, happy or sad, or whatever happens the next day, keep trying. Keep trying this time, because the more people we have, the more we can pull that off. Simple example, a filibuster doesn't exist in the Texas Senate. Despite what you saw from Wendy Davis, we get into that later when we have more time. The rules don't allow for it. David Dewhurst allowed it to happen. The rules don't allow it to happen.
I have one last thing here, and I'm going to hand it back to you. The best legislation, the best laws start in rooms just like this. And the word you say makes a difference for better or worse. Watch how you say it. Say it with your heart. Things and mean what you say, because we can change this. We can change the entire paradigm that we're working with right now. And it's people like you that make a difference. Thank you guys so much for your time.
Okay, so we're talking about public testimony. Is everybody kind of clear enough on like where we are in this process? We're in a good place. So let's talk about the bills that are being heard in this hearing. The committee chairman,
This is a
the senator, has
demonstration of
called
Wirecast.
for a hearing for two bills, SB 17, which was formerly SB 346. That's the licensed open carry. And it allows open carry for CHL holders. That's the licensed open carry. So for them, there would be no requirement to conceal if this passed. It's stipulated that the firearm that's openly carried must be carried in a shoulder or a belt holster. And for those who are familiar with the CHL law,
This
we know about
is a demonstration of Wirecast.
y'all basically familiar with that. I'm not sure how many CHLers we have in this room. That allows private property owners to prohibit CHL carry on their property. So according to this bill, that sign would stay the same. it would still prohibit concealed carry. And they would add a 30-07 sign that would prohibit open carry. So if a private property owner wanted to prohibit both, you have to post both signs. That's a positive thing, because
This is a
it doesn't mess
demonstration
with
of
the current
Wirecast.
30-06 sign. So, that is that bill. And then SB 11 is the other bill that allows campus carry for CHL holders. Campus carry is not just, there are many different varieties of campus carry, so let's put it that way. Obviously, the bill can get changed any point along the way. Last time we saw the bill get watered down quite a bit. As this bill stands right now, it allows campus carry for CHL holders. Okay, public universities,
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
that's really important, because if they're allowed to prohibit it, then how many will? Okay, think about it. They may establish rules for storage of handguns in dormitories. They may not prohibit the CHL carry. Private universities under this law, under the bill as it's written, may prohibit CHL carry after consulting with students and staff, but the default is that CHLers would be allowed to carry. Okay, so the university has to actually do something to prohibit. I think that's a good thing because it protects private property rights. So I support their private property rights. I support gun rights, but I also support private property, civil liberty. So as far as these bills go, I believe that for their purpose, they're well written. Like they do a good job of doing what they said about doing. The problem is that's not what I want. So that's the problem that I have with these bills. But that's what we have to work with. And just the fact that bills can really kill us. If we have our perfect bill, they can get watered down and completely change, mean something else by then. On the other hand, we can work the process. We can say, okay, we were starting with a bill we don't really like. Let's go and testify on it and say what we don't like about it and get it amended. And get it to the floor so it has an opportunity to be amended on the floor. See, we're pushing it forward, eventually change it for the better. Because who says you can't do that, right? It can be changed, let's make it be our changes. So that's kind of my concept in approaching this. And obviously, I told you the perspective I'm coming from. I do not tell activists what to say. I can be very passionate about my opinions, but you need to come up with your own opinions about what you believe. And you need to make sure you're presenting your own opinions when you vote. Which is why I'm not going to give you your script, but I'm going to try to help you come up with one that's what you believe. So let's talk about this hearing. What's the hearing like? And then we're going to move on to actual testimony, which I promise we're going to get to. So I still remember my first hearing. It was my 27th birthday. I went to the Capitol all day that day and all day the next day, and that was my very first time, and I was absolutely scared to death. I think I was shaking all day long both days. I had no idea what to do. I was and that's what compelled me to go. And honestly, I still get nervous sometimes when I testify. I'm trained. I'm a musician. And be on stage and not look nervous, but that doesn't mean I'm not. So, don't be like, well, I can't get up there and do what everybody else does and I get nervous. Guess what we all do? A lot of us do. We just do it anyway because we believe it's the right thing. Also, something that helps is showing up, knowing what's going to happen makes a huge difference, which is why we're here. Also, realize that just your presence there makes a huge difference. Just showing up, being in the room helps so much. First of all, people who are testifying know they have support instead of just the unfriendlies in the room, right? We know we have people who have our back, who support what we're saying. Also, it just shows support for the cause. So don't worry about saying exactly the right words. I mean, it's important to speak true.
This is a demonstration of what
so much that it makes you nervous. So hopefully that kind of helps. I am so thrilled to have a team here that I'm working with and people who have my back, who've done this even longer than I have, and people who are new to it. That's great. Okay, here's some information to arm yourself with. Y'all feel free to take notes. Anybody need paper or pen? Raise your hand if you do and ask the neighbors because everybody's friendly. All right, info to arm yourself with. Wear something professional. A suit is not too much.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
That's okay. You can wear whatever you have. Try to make sure it's clean and neat. And whatever you have, wearing professional is good. Basically, stay all day. So bring food, An activist called me yesterday, asked what if there are places to eat nearby. Sure, they want to do that. Do you want to leave it here? Because they're not going to be taking a lunch break. I can pretty much guarantee you. So do you want us a chance to testify? I wouldn't want to if I was. I've been waiting for this for years. So I'm going to stay there all day. Bring food, bring water, bring the power stove if you have one. Plan to stay all day. Just don't leave the room because it's worth it. I think. Hopefully you do too. There is Wi-Fi there at the Capitol. Sometimes it's slow. And the meeting will be live streamed. So I know a few of you mentioned you can't. Or if you want to just post a link, say here, Facebook friend, listen to me. This is going to get more around next time.
This is
so
a demonstration
go to the center, stream it there. I know several activists who bring a big, y'all or Jeremy who've been there before, are there any like major items you want to throw out there of what to bring?
Water. Can you hold easily? Rooms are freezing.
Yes.
Spare batteries not directly available in the rooms. You can walk outside in the hallway and sit there and usually find something.
Of Wirecast.
I will reiterate, food and water. When she says all day, she means all day. I've gone to a out there at 9 a.m. for first bell, and I didn't get to testify until. Sink that in, let that sink in, okay? And I don't know if they'll do this. The Senate is actually more aggressive about running the clock faster and 2-minute time limits. The House side doesn't do that. They'll let you talk as long as you want sometimes. Please show up and please try to stay as absolutely long as you can, and always make sure you fill out a card when and stick around for the oral testimony or not.
Yeah, and like whatever you know that you need if you're going to be somewhere late, obviously. Okay, it starts at 9. I recommend be there about 8. If you can, that's great. Remember, this is Austin and there's traffic. If you're not from Austin, there will be downtown at that time. There's a Capitol Visitors Parking Garage. Everybody does open carry box. It's all about the but the address is 1201 Sanchez. If you take your notes and read that.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
And it's safe, good parking garage. It's really close, and that's.
Do you know if you still have to pay for your handicap tax?
You do? Handicap tags, I don't have some. But yeah, all day parking for there. So you get there, you walk over to the Capitol. You need to go down to the Capitol extension. Whenever you see the room number, this E1.something or E2.
This
E
is
stands
a
for
demonstration
extension.
of Wirecast.
That's where they built the extension, so we don't have this like thing above the ground. So you go to the north, coming out from the rotunda, and you go down the elevators, and there'll be a button that says E1, E2. We're going to go to E1. The hearing room might change, so be on the lookout for that. I'll probably post it on my Facebook page if it does. Expect everything to change. Expect to be on your toes and things to change all day long. That's just kind of the nature of the game we play.
Demonstration of Wirecast.
Do it. We've had activists do this before, and y'all smashed it. I have confidence in your ability to follow along with what happens and roll with it.
Did you say currently E1 or?
It's E1 point. Remember offhands?
When I get there.
It's 1.106. Okay. But it changes a lot. So the level right now is E1. And when you get there, you'll sign it. I'm pretty sure the Senate now has kiosks, like the House has had for a while. Do you know that for sure?
I've seen people take pictures of their posting.
Pretty sure it does, which is like an iPad. You sign in. If they don't have that, they'll have a card. The same information, it doesn't matter. You just need to make sure that when you go there, you sign in. So you sign in, you can actually set up an account, which is a really good thing to do because it makes it easier to sign in. They have all your contact information already entered. They're going to ask you your name, they're going to ask you your location, your address, your phone number, your email, just stuff about you like that. I'm sorry?
Your employer.
Oh, your employer. And then 3 specific questions I want you to be aware of. First one, what bills are you there for? You're not going to ask what issue or what do you want us to do. This is not like open to whatever you want to talk about. What do you think about teddy bears, okay? This is for 2 bills. It's SB 17, SB 11. You can check both of them, or you can write down both of them, or either one of them. I recommend
This
both
is a
because, hey, we have a chance to
demonstration of
testify, let's do it.
Wirecast.
And I'm gonna get to this later. You may get a chance to offer separate testimony for them, but probably not, but we'll just see when we get there. That's one of the things we just have to roll with. But check what you're there for. They're gonna ask, are you gonna give testimony? Is it gonna be written? Is it gonna be verbal? And you can check one or the other or both. If you're doing verbal testimony, you have 2 minutes to speak. That's not what they do. If you bring written testimony, there are 9
This
committee
is a
members. I encourage you to
demonstration
bring
of
9 copies or
Wirecast.
maybe a couple extra.
They're
To,
asking,
be able to, I'm sorry,
they're asking for 20.
for 20 copies, that's good to go. Okay, so 20 copies. So bring it. That ensures everybody's got a copy who's supposed to. So that was the second thing. Are you giving testimony written or if you're on the fence about whether or not to speak, go ahead and sign up to speak. Just because you'll regret not doing it. I almost promise you that. Question. This is super important for this time around.
This is
Are
a
you
demonstration of
speaking for the
Wirecast.
bill? Are you speaking against the bill? Or neither? Usually that's pretty clear cut. If it's a good bill, I'm going to speak for it. If it's a really bad bill, I'm going to speak against it. In this case, I personally don't support the bill as it's written. But I don't want to go on record against gun rights. Okay, so for me, I'm choosing to testify on the bill. That is an option. Very few people use it. I've seen it a couple of times, not much at all. That means I don't want to just completely ditch the idea, but I want it changed. I want to tell you something about this. Okay, that's generally the idea. I have information to offer about this. So that allows you to testify on that bill subject to know what changes you'd like to make that you don't like in its current form. If that's your opinion, then that's an option I encourage you to really consider, is testifying on the bill. Does that make sense, everybody? Okay, this is a super cool thing that most people don't even realize and know about. So the fact that you know that means you're awesome.
This is a demonstration of
have a
Wirecast.
record of how many people testified on a bill as opposed to for or against it, which would also be cool.
And we can really flip the apple cart over tomorrow if they come out with, if they're trying to put forward what they want, and if they come out with 200 people testifying on a bill, it's an understatement what it means.
Yeah.
The DPS guy testifying on
Yes.
because he's answering questions.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
Yeah, I've never seen just like regular activists come and like in mass testify on the bill. We've done so many things with gun rights that people just never
This
do.
is a
And
demonstration of
it worked pretty well.
Wirecast.
So let's know our processes and know how to use it to accomplish our purposes. Mentioned hearing starts at 9, but there are a lot of things, I'm just going to put it this way, there are a lot of things that we know because that's procedure, and there are a lot of things that we don't know exactly how they're going to go down. We're going to try to walk you through some of those. Here's what we pretty much know, pretty much for sure. Okay, the bill is going to be laid out by the author. That means the person who wrote the bill is going to present it.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
By the way, specifically what the committee room looks like. I don't know if y'all seen pictures. I've tried to put some out on Facebook pages, but there's a room, it's a little bigger than this, and there's this, you have the, all the panel of the 9 senators, maybe a couple extras, maybe there's a clerk over there too, and they're all sitting looking very official in front of their desk, and nobody's scared of them because they're people, and they're there to hear you and what you have to say, and it's your responsibility, and you're invited to talk, so that's cool. And then you will go
This
and
is a
face them
demonstration
with a
of
speaker. It's usually
Wirecast.
a podium. You may be seated at a table. I've seen them pull people up in panels that way. I've also seen them have people one at a time just in front of the podium. So maybe one or the other. But you will be facing them when you speak, and there are rows of chairs behind you when you speak, and that's where everybody sits. That's where you sit when you're not actually testifying. Or you stand in the back, or you go to an overflow room or whatever. Does that kind of make sense the way the room's laid out? So that's the concept. That's what we're looking at here. Okay, so what we know is when it's time for that bill, when we call up that bill, the bill author gets up and lays it out, and then there's testimony, public testimony. They call people. Tomorrow they may start with like housekeeping issues and other items. Yeah.
What are the bill numbers again, right quick?
17 and 11.
SB?
SB, Senate bill. All right, what else we know is it's worth it to be there because it does make a difference, and this is the chance to go on record for these Senate bills. Here's what we don't know. It could move really fast.
This
I mean,
is a
I've seen
demonstration
sometimes, there's
of
one time when they were
Wirecast.
getting ready to call a bill and I realized I left my phone in somebody's office. I ran to get it, I came back, they were done with that bill and I missed my chance to testify. It happens, because like nobody should have testified. You could be there all day until 3 a.m. and I'm expecting this to be pretty long tomorrow, we don't know. There's no set order they call you in. They often go in the order that you sign in, but they don't have to. They can call you in any order, so be ready for that. Like I mentioned, they might ask you to testify on both bills together, which means you get 2 minutes to say whatever you want about both bills. You can talk about one or the other, divide it however you want. Or they might call the bills separately. They might do open carry, campus carry, or vice versa. We don't know. Just be ready for it. We don't know how many people are going to be there, so we don't know how long it's going to go. They're going to take a break, but I guess they're not going to take a break at all. They may call you up in panel along with 6 others. They're like, okay, you. Okay, we're going to go down the next panel. Come on. I've seen them.
Is a demonstration of
They may
Wirecast.
question you when you're finished speaking. It's not super common, but they may if they have some questions, and it may be friendly questions, like somebody says, oh, I like what this person is saying, and I want them to talk more, therefore I'm going to ask them a question. And that's helpful. You'll notice when that's helpful. And maybe somebody who doesn't agree and wants to point out something, everybody else may disagree with you, and so they're just going to use you to ask you a question. Don't sweat it, okay? If you suddenly blank out on the answer, it's okay. You just yes, keep going.
If you get asked a question,
Is a demonstration of
when
Wirecast.
you're sitting there, you need to be prepared for this. Don't get it. They're not going to pay attention. They're going to get up and leave. They're going to try to keep a quorum of the committee, so 5 are going to run the time. But there'll be times when 2 of them are there. They won't break for lunch. They'll go eat lunch on their own and come back. Fall asleep in their chairs. Some of them will take out their phones and play solitaire. That's all normal. It's expected. Just live with it. Their staff is there taking the notes, and the testimony process is really, 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 really important. Not so much because you're going to give them this grand Ronald Reagan speech that makes them see the error of their ways and go out and strap something on right now. It's about demonstrating public interest, and that is why when they ask you questions, you win the lottery. The day we met, we were doing all the gun bills last time, and testimony, they were back in their chairs like this, and I had nothing. And I came back up for another bill, 2, and I said almost the same thing, but a couple of them had heard it in their sleep, and they engaged me, Pickett engaged me in a while of Q&A on the Constitution's provisions for with a view to prevent crime, and I won the lottery. I got the committee chair to engage me on that, and we got all that on the record. So you're lucky if it happens.
Yeah, even if it's like, asking you, kind of attacking what you said, that means you said something really good that they feel like needs attacking if they're going to defend their side. So yeah, you win the lottery.
One last thing on that, Huffman and Estes are both notorious question askers, so if it's going to happen anywhere, it's going to happen with those two. That's
Wirecast.
Cool. So good stuff to know. There's something else I'm going to see my bottom back there. So we're going to move on.
One thing, talking about asking questions, remember that like when someone asks you a question, it kind of is your time limit. So a lot of times people, they minutes, and then they get asked this, like a kind of simple question, and they have like a 1 and then that's it. But if you know what you're doing, that question, your 1 sentence response, and you can repeat what you just said, you can go into stuff that you would have said if you had the time. Yes. You can talk until they tell you to shut up.
Yeah. Yes. There's no clock.
Exactly.
They're making the clock. Not on a response though.
So in the interest of being ready for every situation, you may have a page of stuff that you say, I'm not going to have time to get this in my 2 minutes. In the rare event that I get asked a question, this is other stuff that I want to say. If I can find some way to make it relevant to the answer to that question, you can do that. Okay, I mean, obviously they're going to call you to something. That's the concept. Okay, so that's kind of about the hearing. Expect the unexpected. Roll with it. We'll try to help you. I mean, I'm going to be there. These guys are going to be there. So, come ask us if you have a question. What do you say? First thing you say in your testimony. We're going to kind of say how to say. Okay. To say. They want you to state your name and your position and the bill or bills you're talking about. So I might say my name alone. I'm speaking on SB
This is a
17 and in
demonstration
favor of 11. I'm representing myself and Texas Firearms Freedom because I am representing. If you say you represent an organization, make sure it's your own legitimately are representing. You can't just like make up the fact that you're representing. So, what are those three things? You say
Name.
your name and the position and the bills.
You have to tell where you're from too, or?
This is a
They'll have that
demonstration of
information. The teacher will have it in front of you. You can if you want. You can tell them anything else about yourself. If you're a doctor, which you are, list that as a credential, especially if you're testifying on guns in hospitals. So if you have credentials that are relevant, they're going to get your attention. You're law enforcement, you're whatever, or you're a teacher, or if you feel like it's relevant, say it. You're not required. Okay, so those three things. And then after you say that, you say what you're going to say, which we'll get to in a second. Okay, so here's what's important. I have some do's and some don'ts. Okay, so like I said, you can't start talking about teddy bears in Florida. They will probably call you on that when they stop. And but also don't start talking about another specific bill that you want. Okay, you can start talking about an issue as it's relevant to the bills being heard. See the difference there? You can say the same thing, sorta, but it's how you put it. If you're in a hearing, 17, you say, I want you to vote yes on 342. They don't have the opportunity right now to vote yes on that. Okay? You can tell them, I want you to amend SB 17 to say these things, which it happens that Bill says it too, but I'm not going to mention that right now. Okay? Does that make sense? So stay relevant. Yes.
And it's not just they want to bust you if you do it. It's taboo because if you start talking about SB 342, which is not up for public hearing right now, they're getting testimony on a bill for channels. That's a point of order against consideration of one of those bills later on. So you'll have some of them that the reason they will, if you sit down and say, I want you to vote stop, they'll stop you, demand your name, your position. All of that is bean counting so that this bill doesn't die when it gets to the floor of the Senate because point of order testified and you didn't capture in the record if they were on the bill, or that person testified for this bill over here. Don't do that stuff because, you know, call it breaking the law. That's what needs to be in your head. Stick to the bill numbers that are in front of you.
Yeah. So if you actually do that, you get thank the person who did that. Okay, don't take it as they're trying to mess with me. Make sure you are relevant to that. Okay, make sure what you say is true. Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I want to support campus carry, but I want the student to have the option of open carrying or concealed carrying. Is that okay?
Yes, you can say.
So that I like that bill, but I want them to have the option of open carry if they want.
Exactly, and that would be probably testifying audience. Hey, I like some stuff about it. I think it has potential. Let's change it. And by the way, bills do get radically changed. Where the original author ends up voting against it because it's like the opposite thing. Okay, so this is not radical suggestion. I've seen it like in some pretty ridiculous ways. Make sure what you say is true. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to go in there and intentionally lie. But if you're relating a story, or you need to make sure you check the facts, not something that somebody posted on Facebook and never checked out. Okay. Don't make up statistics just because you want it to be so. We have plenty of statistics that are wonderful and that are really about what we want to say. So make sure they're documented. Don't make them up on the fly. So make sure if you're stating a fact, make sure it really is true. Be very source too. Yes, having your source right there is really awesome. I've had a couple of times I just remember like, oh, he asked me about something, and I was able to give a source plus some additional information, and they would ask me about it because I had that. I've also really wish that I did. Be clear and to the point, and we're going to get to that even more when we talk about shaping your testimony. But when you finish talking, they should know what you said. There are going to be people talking probably all day for a very, very long time. There are probably going to be a ton of UT professors who show up who
This
carry.
is
How's
a
that laugh?
demonstration of
Okay, there I
Wirecast.
was like the only girl who was there supporting campus carry just about. A bunch of others who were against it. And but to be the one, I want all of them to stand out. You want to stand out from that is having something clear to say. Okay, so when you get done, they know this person is, sane and rational, and they want this. I get what they're saying. I get what makes sense. Okay, try to make it super clear to the point. Don't like beat around the bush and say
Wirecast.
be professional and tell them what you want to do with these bills. Okay, what not to do. Personal attacks. It's forbidden, you don't do that, besides the fact that it's nasty, you don't do that anyway. Our society is a polite society, let's be that polite society. I already mentioned the relevancy issue. Don't be scared. So you're right to be there. You are awesome for coming and being there and for testifying.
This
You're
is
doing
a
what many
demonstration
citizens
of
never do their
Wirecast.
whole lives. Just be happy that you get the chance to do that and that you're brave enough to go. Really, what's the worst that's going to happen? What's the best? You have a chance to make some tremendous change for do it. Okay. Questions and ideas for your testimony. Ready? I'm going to jot these down. This is where I go when I'm thinking about my testimony. First of all, do you have a personal
This is a
story?
demonstration of Wirecast.
Yours could be someone close to you, someone who you know. Obviously, it needs to be relevant. Don't just get up there and yak about your favorite dog and why she's so cute and then tell your point that doesn't make any sense, right? Okay. So if you have a story that's a point, we'd all rather listen to a story than listen to a dry, dull fact, right? So tell your story and then make your point. Your illustration is going to be so much more effective. But
This
obviously
is a
be sure it's true.
demonstration
Don't
of
make up stories
Wirecast.
from sources you haven't checked. You can also tell how the bill would affect you if it's passed. I found that the legislators a lot of times are really interested in this. Even the ones who really support it, they want to be able to say, hey, I had all these people who said it's going to help them, therefore you should help me pass it. Okay, that helps them. So let them know how it's going to affect you if it's passed. How it's going to change your life, how it affects you. Facts and statistics. Gunfacts.info is a very helpful site that has
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
So you can look that up again. Go check out your facts, make sure they're true.
What's your website called?
This is not mine, but this is one. It's gunfacts.info. I'm not going to jot that down. You can give logic for why one is right, because logically this is how it lines up. Logically, you should pass this bill, or you should change this bill, or whatever it is. Okay. You can give analogies. Sometimes that's a real illustration.
Demonstration.
Cliche is not always super useful, but a really good analogy can help them think about something in a different light. I mean, if I come to Pat and I just like hammer my about whatever, and it's a topic you really don't care about, or you have a different opinion, you're just gonna be like, whatever. If I tell a story or an analogy and then relate it, then he's gonna be like, oh, I see what you were saying, and I see why you were saying it. Plus, it's just more interesting, and it might pull me off playing solitaire, to listen to, right? So that's cool.
This
Analogies
is a
are great.
demonstration of Wirecast.
Talk about the Constitution of rights. Talk about why we have those rights. It's always a good thing to do. What other, from my testimony people, what other ideas do y'all have? Where do you go with testimony? How do you come with it?
One thing that's very helpful is if it is, in this case, there are relevant opinions, states, how it affected those states,
yes.
And then specifically what about in those states. An anecdote or a story that illustrates how much better things were after that law passed, or if the law was defeated, whichever way you decide to go. That's extremely important, and they find a lot of interest. Those human interest stories make a big difference in these committees.
Yeah, I was testifying on the Guns Anywhere bill last time. It would have allowed CHL basically in bars, and statistics of the crime rate actually going down in another state where
This
they made
is
it
a demonstration of
And
Wirecast.
so that was, I'm sorry? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. And so that was a really relevant statistic. If you say, okay, you think it's going to happen, because everybody else who was against the bill was up there saying, oh, it's going to help crime go up, and it's going to be terrible. I said, okay, here's the facts. Go argue the facts.
Another
It's
good
really
source of information is the Crime Prevention Research Center, John Moss. So he does all the good studies. The Crime Prevention Research Center, that's John Lott, PhD, Dr. Lott, he's fantastic. He's the guy.
Demonstration of Wirecast.
Okay, so that's a good place, it's a very good resource.
Another one specific to this bill is just over and over again, they need to hear the point that we already have carry for long guns in Texas. Full stop. We already have constitutional carry in Texas. Any argument for why you need a permit, why you need training, why you need to pay a fee, why you need to file with the state, your fingerprints and everything else, so that you can carry a Beretta or a Derringer when you can already carry a 30-06 is ridiculous.
Or an AK-47.
And every
This is a demonstration
every other
of
state we've got that
Wirecast.
has, added constitutional carry, added open carry, and all the data that's there, as powerful as all of those are, I don't know if any of them actually have the scenario Texas did, where you have a long gun legal state that was quibbling over whether or not to give it to handguns. And the more they hear that, and the less we kind of water the weeds of lesser solutions, I think the better.
Last session, it was kind of like
This
the
is a
radical thing
demonstration
to
of
talk
wire-
about others. Now that's become like the moderate position, very much. Okay, even Wendy Davis had to say she supported that, right? So whether or not she really did, she had to say.
She did walk that back.
Okay. And so now the thing is constitutional carry, which is becoming less and less radical, which is super cool. So I like that.
Don't be afraid to list the states that already have it too, because
This is a
there's a lot of states
demonstration
right
of
now that are
Wirecast.
doing the same thing. They are entertaining these bills. Some of them have passed, like South Dakota just passed from their House of Representatives, that bill, constitutional carry.
There are a lot of states.
So there's a lot of states starting to take their rights back now.
Yes, there. I mean, yeah. Look out! I keep on every week or two on another state that is introducing constitutional carry. It's like the latest state. It's like a fad to introduce constitutional carry, right? So everybody's doing it. Texas needs to get on board with it. Feel free to list the states that are
This is a demonstration
unlicensed
of
over carry, because
Wirecast.
there are a ton of those over 30. So, yes.
I was say, quick thing, talking about standing out. I mean, obviously, personal story is the best way to go, but it really pays off to listen to the testimony that's going on throughout the day, especially if you're a little later on. Especially in the Senate, we only have 2 minutes, because you might have something front-loaded because you think it's the most important thing to talk about. But then you realize that 20 people have already made that same point, which is good because it's probably an important point. But if you had a couple other things that were your second and third things that haven't been brought up, then you can kind of mix it up. Or if someone gets asked a question, maybe because sometimes they'll get picked because they bring something up and it's obvious they won't have a good answer. Well, then if you're shortly after that, you can use your 2 minutes to give a better answer to that question if you think that it was an important issue or something like that. It is, although your 2 minutes is your 2 minutes, it kind of fits into a larger conversation. So it's good to know how the conversation's been going before you
This is a
step in.
demonstration of Wirecast.
Yeah, good point. Don't be afraid to say the same thing over and over, but if it hasn't been said, say it. Okay, here's my. Let me think. If there's one thing I want you to get from me telling you about presenting testimony, this is this. One thing that you want to communicate, and make sure you say that really well. So right now, I want you to
This
say
is a demonstration
30
of
seconds.
Wirecast.
Think about what is your one thing. Write it down. The shortest sentence possible. Okay? If you can tell the committee one thing, obviously there are a lot of one things that they need to know. But you plan your testimony around saying one thing and saying it really, really, really well. Okay? And then if you have time, you can say a bunch of other stuff too. But make sure you have that one thing that you're saying really well. What do you want to communicate? Okay? 30 seconds.
This
Jot
is a
that down.
demonstration of
as concise as possible. Huge run-on sentences with a million things.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Texas already has constitutional carry for long guns and other weapons.
Okay, anybody else? Yeah.
Law-abiding citizens are the first responders to every attack.
Nice. What else?
You have taken an oath of office. You have taken an oath to support the Constitution. Please define infringement.
Anybody else?
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Yep. Licensing disproportionately affects the poor. Licensing disproportionately. Cool. See how these different aspects really help? Yeah.
The majority of people in the low-income neighborhoods are good, law-abiding citizens. They're only there due to lower costs. Low-income citizens need to be able to defend themselves just as well as people that make more money.
Anybody else? All right, so I encourage you to think. I call it my BHI. So I have this communication teacher, in my back, they call it your big hairy idea. I think of every single time, what's your BHI? And make sure you're really communicating that. I will write that if I have. I try to just use an outline so I'm not reading my testimony because I never read the story anyway. And I'll write my one thing at the top. So I'm like, if I just mess up everything else, I want to communicate this one thing, and I want to do it really well. I want them to know when they finish, that's what they heard. This is the other test. Give your 2-minute speech to somebody, see if they know what your big hair idea was. And if you hit it and everything, and you said a million other things too, and they don't even know what you said, you need to go work on refining your testimony to say it more clearly. Because when you finish, that committee should have a really clear idea of what your one thing was. You have to get that idea super clear in your head and put it into their heads in a way that they will not forget it.
Start with it and finish with it.
Yeah.
That's the best way to do it.
And illustrate it and make them get it. Yeah, go ahead.
One comment on it. So if you have a very hairy idea and it intimidates you, it might be some emotional or some personal story, take it to somebody else. We'll read it. We'll say, hey, this looks good. This sucks. Again, you need to, whatever it is. But if you're concerned about it, don't be afraid to here. We're all on the same team. Bring it to somebody. Bring it to Justin. Bring it to Rachel. Bring it to one of the other leaders, and they'll authenticate for you that your ideas are right.
Of Wirecast.
Don't be afraid of it.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So make sure you have that. You have your one thing you're going to say that you really want to communicate if you've just messed with everything else. Now, how do you say it? How do you put that idea in their heads so they get it? They know what you're saying. Think about your audience. Who is your audience? It's senators. Okay? What kind of people are on a Senate panel? People who've been elected to office, right? Okay, not everybody's all the same, lump them all together, but they have a lot of things in common. What's their goal? What do they want? What are they expecting from you? What is their mindset in coming to this hearing? If they're all, their kids at school or whatever, you have to somehow get inside their heads in a way to get past all that. Like they're thinking about their own goals that they really are concerned about, or they're worried about their constituents or not, whatever it is, you've got to find some way to communicate to them. And also remember, they are real people, they're individuals.
Wirecast.
So don't put them so far on a pedestal that you can't just communicate to them. At the same time, we need to have professionalism. What is professionalism? How do you define it? I was thinking about that some today. I think there are a lot of elements. I think professionalism is what helps us to maintain the high ground, right? We're going to keep our cool. I think it's showing respect. So what is respect? And should we respect those who disagree with us?
Of Wirecast.
I believe that we all have the right to our own opinions. You all have the right to your own opinions. I have the right to mine. I have the right to live my life the way that I choose and make choices. Same right. These senators on this panel have that same right. So they do things testify to, and I can respect them still. That doesn't mean I agree with them or think they're right. Doesn't mean that I'm not gonna fight to get them out of office. So I'm gonna try to do so honorably, maintaining the moral high ground, maintaining
of
my cool and
Wirecast.
my professionalism. And, all right, persuasion. How do you persuade somebody of something? I think we can either change thinking. That happened to me. I was literally trying to convince people that carrying a gun is a dangerous weapon. My thinking was changed, and that's what started changing my behavior, and that's why I became a gun rights activist instead of a gun control.
This is of Wirecast.
Like, you know, we don't have everybody's thinking. We just, right now, we need their behavior, so they sign, so they vote a certain way. However, if we can change their thinking, that's cool, because then we have somebody else who can help us change everybody else's behavior too. Okay, that's just kind of a couple things to think about. What do we really want from them? All right. So that's pretty much. Oh, I'm gonna say this later.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
This is something else. I'm not sure exactly how to go through it. If you don't like something, be specific. Okay, this is whether you know you have a conversation with somebody on the street, in an open carry walk or whatever. We don't just go and like test people out. We don't just go and give personal attacks because we don't like the fact that they disagree with us. So what we're going to do, and particularly here on this committee, if you don't like something, be specific about what do you dislike. I dislike the fact that I don't have constitutional care. Why do I dislike it? Because I believe it's my right, and this is why it's my right. And here's the deal. Your solution. Here's what I want you to do about it. So if I get up there and blabber about how my rights are being violated, I never talk about what right is being violated or how it's being violated. I'm just, you know, obviously this really mad, angry person who doesn't like something. Okay? If I explain specifically, as specifically as I can, what I don't like, why I don't like, what I want you to do about it, and make sure it's something that's in these people's power to do, which is amend the bill. Okay, that's in their power. That's going to be a lot more helpful. So that kind of ties into professionalism and what we're going to say. I'm like, don't get in the thing of that. You got that? Okay, cool. All right, one more thing, then I just wanted to go through. I encourage you sometime in the future, probably not tonight, to read the book Made to Stick by Chip and Yankee. There are a lot of good books out there. That's one that just made a lot of sense to me. I'm going to run through what I remember from reading it like 5 years ago, so don't blame them if it doesn't sound right. Blame my memory.
Could you repeat that again, please? The name of the book.
Made to Stick by Chip Heath and Dan Heath, I believe that's their names. That's my memory, so I think that's right. There are 6 elements of a message that sticks in somebody's mind. So when you craft your testimony, which I want you to do in just a second here, see how many of these 6 things you can have. I've already alluded to some of them.
This is a
The first
demonstration
one
of
is,
Wirecast.
and by the way, spell success. Kind of misspells it, but it still works. The first one is sort of S. It's simple. And that means you need to have one thing you're communicating. We talked about that. Have that one thing, not this complicated. I'm not even sure what that person's saying, but they were passionate. Okay? Simple, one thing. Next, be unexpected. A couple of you said your one sentence statements that they were kind of unexpected to me. I was like, oh wow, that's a cool way of putting it. What do you want to do? Give an unexpected statistic or an unexpected line, or you be unexpected. Like I come in as a girl in her 20s who doesn't look like this gun nut person, and everybody expects me. I found that last time. Everybody thought I was going to testify again, and I had a technical on the way back. You're 4? And I explained how that worked. Okay, so that just me doing that is unexpected. So if your profession makes it unexpected, you do this. You know, whatever it is, it's unexpected. Okay, what's the first thing? Simple. Next is good. All right, next is concrete. Remember I said be specific about what you want. So this is more about the solution that you want. Like be specific. I want you to do this, not just give me my rights back. Okay, well, what do you want me to do, right? They're not gonna write a bill that says, so-and-so gets her rights back. Be specific. So that's concrete, okay? Next, see, it's credible. Obviously, it's true.
Demonstration
Beyond
of
that,
Wirecast.
have credibility in who you are. That's your personal appearance. Walk, how you address them. Well, we all know, like, you look at somebody, you can tell they're kind of like a shifty person. You're not sure if you should really trust them or not. You kind of size them up. We do that every day, all day long, okay? So be that credible person. Well, we all do it, so whether or not we think about it. So be credible in your appearance. Be credible in your sources. If you start quoting things everybody knows,
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
They're going to distrust anything else you say, no matter how true it is.
100 school shootings since,
That's pretty good. I'm not gonna I think I was shot down yesterday. No, I wasn't. I forgot about that. Okay, be credibility in logic. Be credible in your logic. Okay, if you have this like weird trait of, this happened and this is true, therefore this, they're like, wait, what? You as a person lose credibility. All right, so first 4 things.
Of Wirecast.
Okay, last emotional. Now I'm gonna explain this one. We're not gonna argue simply based on emotion. The other side does that. Literally sat there and all day watched and be like, oh, I'm so scared. This is so scary. I don't want it because it's scary. I get up there and say, well, here's the facts, and this is why you're actually safer. So your fear is irrational. Okay? Argue based on truth and facts, but emotional. We are
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
As human beings. The idea is you need to connect with them on an emotional level. Not that our whole goal is to get them hyped up, but having that emotional connection is very important. Good way to do that is with our last item, story. We talked about that how important personal stories communicate points so much better than just rattling off words and facts. So, 6 things. That is what I wanted to present to you guys today. I'm trying to check if there's
This is a
anything else.
demonstration of Wirecast.
I'm pretty sure that was it. So, ask if there are any questions. Everybody's super confused, or they are totally or they're still processing, which is okay too. All right, that's kind of like how I go through presenting testimony and what it looks like and kind of how I do that. What I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and cut to a break, so we're going to kill the live stream at this point. And give y'all a few minutes. How many of y'all would find it helpful to practice presenting testimony? How many of y'all would do that if you have the opportunity? Okay, cool. Do y'all have it like ready now, or this is like half an hour you're ready? All right, we're not gonna take half an hour, you're ready, but we're gonna break through. And then those who need to leave, you're welcome to leave. Those of us who've done testimony before, just grab us and we'll try to help you write out some points. And then whoever wants to will have a chance to go through and just practice. Give it a couple minutes of testimony. Yeah.
I have just one comment.
Yeah.
Gun rights, it's a volatile thing. Guns are a volatile thing. What we're talking about tomorrow, if you feel someone is baiting you into a debate or an argument, do not get into it with them. This is not the time or place to do that. There's a time and place to have a debate. It's not in the Senate's quarters. Even if it's outside in the hall, just manners, nod, respectful, shake hands. Thank you for your time. Don't get into a debate. It's not the place.
Yeah.
Don't feed the trolls.
Yeah. Oh,
yes,
something else I
still
thought
there.
is
Oh, yeah.
there will probably be a lot of media there. And many of y'all maybe asked for an interview or for a quote or something. I was totally freaked out the first time that happened. I was not expecting that. You don't have to say yes. If you feel like you want a minute to gather your thoughts, that's so. Don't be like, oh, he's asking me, I guess I have to. But think about it, and have something ready to say. Feel free to do that if you'd like to do that. Yes.
Jill, you want to say bye to my subscribers and viewers before I shut this off?
Goodbye. Thanks for listening, and I definitely hope to see you tomorrow. Contact me or check the texasfile.com website for more information or if you have any questions.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.